Israel at war, now day 3. Horrific scenes continue coming out, sirens blaring as I speak. The death count rising, 9 Americans reportedly dead, hundreds taken hostage. Among them, we're told, are American nationals, all while the U.S. still does not have an ambassador to Israel, a Speaker of the House, and Tommy Tuberville continues holding up key military appointments. But the big question this morning underlying it all, how did Hamas penetrate the impenetrable? Joining us now to discuss is UCLA political science professor and Israeli Institute teaching fellow at the Nazarian Center, Tamar Hofnung. Good morning, Professor. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
I know it's a tough morning. I have to start here. How did this happen? Israel, with its elite intelligence and revered mighty defense force, how does something like this happen?
Well, it is still very unclear how this has happened, and I think that it will take some time to understand. Currently, Israel is focusing on stabilizing the domestic arena, and as we are speaking, fire rockets, missiles are being shot at Israel all throughout. People are hostage, and this is just an unbelievable reality. What we do know is that part of what has enabled this was the focus on the West Bank. There was not so much, the reality was that Israelis did not think that Gaza has the capabilities to create such an attack and that it would want to. There was a conception that Hamas is much more interested in taking care of the people in Gaza rather than creating conflict. And so long as money and assistance is held to Gaza, then they will focus on that. And clearly that was not the case. This, we should say, is happening on a holiday in Israel. This had occurred on a holiday in Israel. People were with their families. You can imagine something like this happening in the United States on Easter. It is just unbelievable what has been going on.
And the images coming out of there are frightening and horrific. And, Professor, experts are comparing this attack as the generation's Yom Kippur War of '73. Put into historical context what we're seeing here.
Yes. So Yom Kippur War happened 50 years ago. It was a war that the Israeli army and the Israeli people were completely startled by the attack by the Egyptian army and by armies from the north. And it took several days, many casualties, and it has been hailed as an intelligence fiasco and, of course, also a leadership fiasco that has been in Israel's history as one of the greatest tragedies that happened in Israel. And this is 50 years and 1 day after we have an attack that now we think might be even more tragic than what has happened in Yom Kippur War, especially as it involves civilians, innocent people, children that have been slaughtered and murdered and massacred and also held in Gaza as we speak.
And I'm just going to ask you this question about that, because obviously the hostage taking complicates the Israeli forces' efforts to seize Gaza. And among the hostages, we are told there are American nationals. How does that complicate how Israel is going to manage this situation, this crisis?
Well, it does. It of course complicates the attack. It complicates how Israel will penetrate. Would it have army go inside the negotiations? It actually complicates everything, especially as the Israeli people value very much the lives of the hostages. And as we know from earlier hostage situations, such as Gilad Shalit, who was a soldier that was captured, Israel was willing to release hundreds of Palestinian inmates in order to have Gilad Shalit return. So now we are speaking not of one soldier, but on over 150 hostages and abducted citizens, innocent citizens.
And Professor, experts, geopolitical experts are saying, pointing the finger at Iran, saying that they're behind this attack. Do you believe that to be the case?
I do. I think that the amount of the sophistication that we see in terms of the way in which the Gazan terrorists have penetrated Israel it has a sheer direct to Hamas, to Iran. Sorry, I don't think that it is possible that they have regained such capabilities without Iranian assistance.
Tamar Hofnung, UCLA political science professor and Israeli Institute teaching fellow at the Nazarian Center. Thank you so much for joining us and lending us your vital expertise on this really horrific war now raging in Israel. Thank you.
Thank you.